Thank you so much to the RAW Program Committee for allowing us to present this. This is a bit of an update on something that we presented last year in Monterey. We started working in São Tomé in Africa a couple of years ago, and we've been doing some cool science out there, and I just wanted to give you guys an update on what's happening. So let's see. Nuno was actually supposed to give this presentation, but he's not here. But he is in fact in Rio de Janeiro trying not to get killed with all the demonstration that is going on with the corruption and everything. So he's there. He is our science officer. He knows this stuff infinitely better than me. So please don't go crazy with the scientific questions at the end. I will look like an idiot. But I can get you Nuno's email if you have really complex issues. So let's go. So as you know, Flying Sharks is based off Peniche and the Azores in the middle of the Atlantic. And we just started playing in São Tomé, which of course is right on the equator line on East Africa. I'll just give you a very quick overview because again, last year I kind of covered a couple of these slides, so I'll go through these kind of quick. It is a Portuguese-speaking country. It was a Portuguese colony all the way up to 74 when we had the big revolution, and no more colonies because we don't do that anymore. It's just not nice. And yeah. It is volcanic in origin, very beautiful landscape, just very pretty. Cocoa is produced, also tobacco and a couple of other things. So very peaceful environment, ideal for work. There's very, very artisanal fisheries. There's also some industrial fishing, but not, of course, from the São Tomé native population. It's mostly Europeans, because you know what we're like. We're bastards, and we depleted the waters in Europe. So now we go and deplete waters in Africa and the Indian Ocean, and that's just something that we've been doing for centuries, and it's working really well for us. Sorry about the rant. We have done our homework quite extensively. There's quite a bit of literature on, well, I shouldn't say quite a bit, but there's some literature on work done in São Tomé over the years. The National Geographic Society has been there, the California Academy of Sciences as well, back in the early days of the 2000s. In fact, last year, after we finished the meeting in Monterey, we actually drove up to San Francisco. We had a meeting with Luis Rocha, Brazilian scientist who's been working with the California Academy of Sciences for many years. And we're working with them in identifying new species and developing quite a few interesting things. So that's Nuno doing his underwater photography in São Tomé. Last year he was also there again and again. We've done now a total of 4 trips down there. And we're identifying new things. We're, inventorying the local fauna. You'll see on the lower left corner there a little orange square around that species. That's a little serenid, like a tiny grouper that hasn't been described yet. Everybody knows it's there. For example, Peter Wirtz, world famous ichthyologist. People know it's there, but nobody's really had a chance to describe it yet, so that's sort of a new thing, and we're hoping to be involved with that process as well. We've done some collecting in our first time there, just for trial to see how easy these things were to collect. We actually got a permit from the local government to ship 1 box back to Portugal with us, just so we could understand the process. So that's the very first Flying Sharks box leaving São Tomé. Legally, I should say. We try to do things right, despite what you might think. We also received our very first order for São Tomé fish from an aquarium in Saudi Arabia. There's a Portuguese curator there, and we take care of our own. And he placed an order for some São Tomé fish because he did a very cool exhibit on former Portuguese colonies and all of that. So that was interesting, an interesting opportunity for us to go there and to actually do some collecting. We set up this extremely sophisticated holding facility with these inflatable pools in the backyard of a good friend of ours. This actually works pretty well. It was cheap, it was easy to move out there because, of course, as you can imagine, there's very limited space for us carrying things either by plane. Most of the stuff that we ship over there is done by ship, in a vessel, like the oxygen and all of these things that we can't carry on a regular passenger aircraft. So everything takes a long time. We have to plan our expedition some 6 to 8 weeks in advance to make sure everything is there. Customs clearance alone is 10 to 15 days. So you could have your things at the port and they're there. They're within an arm's reach, but you know, the customs clearance hasn't been done yet, so that's a huge issue we have to be worried about. So shipping small stuff in our backpacks, in our luggage is the way to do things, and that's what we've done, and it's been working well. So this is the very first shipment that we had, large shipment that we had leaving last year to Saudi Arabia, and that went really well. And now I'll move on quickly to the scientific work that we're doing out there. We've been visiting the local markets. We've been very, very impressed with how small the fish are being caught and are being sold there. Extremely, extremely small. In fact, a couple of these pictures I actually showed last year. So we're seeing really, really small things. And very, very small. I mean, we're talking cell phone size fish that are being sold commercially for human consumption, which is very, very impressive. I've been working in fisheries for many years. So has my business partner, Telmo. He's done work with Daniel Pauly and many other famous fisheries people. None of us have actually seen fish this small ever being landed commercially, so for people to eat. It was very, very impressive. We're talking to the local community, trying to understand, you know, what's wrong, and how did things get to this stage, and also how can we improve things? You know, just interacting with the locals. They've got this local beer called Rosema. Oh my lord, it is powerful stuff. I warn you. It does make you play foosball better. We're interacting with the local NGOs. There's Marapa, focusing on marine turtles, and we have a really good relationship with those guys. And of course, with the local fisheries board, we've established a nice protocol with the fisheries board, and they've asked us for a couple of things. They've asked if we could prepare for them a book of São Tomé fish, which there isn't one. And they also asked us if we could prepare a poster, just a good old-fashioned poster of commercial fish that they can offer people and have them at fish markets, just so people can see what it is that they have in their own waters. Because the local population really, you know, they've got a bunch of common names, but they have no real knowledge of what it is that they have in their own backyard. So we're helping them create that, and I'll show you some cool photos of that. We actually got some funding to do this from the European Union of Aquarium Curators, a very generous funding that has allowed us to travel back to São Tomé a couple of times to do some of this work. We also struck a really nice deal with a local dive operator called Costa Norte. They get us a really nice deal of, you know, renting the dive tanks and all that stuff. So this is a book that Nuno just launched with Portuguese marine fish. You can actually check it out in our booth over there. And the idea, what Nuno is working on right now, is to do the exact same thing for São Tomé. In fact, we'll probably follow the same outline and everything, and we'll do the exact same thing for São Tomé fish. One other thing that they've asked for our help is in setting up a local marine protected area. Now, I don't need to tell you this is going to be exceptionally difficult because marine protected areas, of course, they're really not welcomed by the local population at all. Obviously, as you all know, 10, 15 years after, everybody loves marine protected areas because you've got the spillover effect, and you got more fish than you ever dreamed you could get. But the initial steps are really, really quite hard. One of the problems we have in São Tomé is that the guys are going out fishing in very, very small boats with very, very small engines. So everybody's basically packed around the island. They don't go out for more than, say, a mile, and that's creating an extremely heavy pressure in the waters around the island. So another thing we're trying to help is to come up with some funding. We're talking to NGOs, the big ones throughout the world, maybe get these guys more powerful engines, but at the same time, there cannot be an increase in number of boats, because then you're just expanding the problem. So what we need is the same number of boats with more powerful engines so that they can spread out their fishing a little bit more and not be concentrated so close to the shoreline. And so finally, Nunu's been going out with some colleagues from Brazil, from the University of the Azores. These guys have been diving all over the place of sandy bottoms, getting pictures of all of the wonderful fauna that they have out there. They've been doing some deep dives, night dives. They've been diving out in the wide blue ocean, looking at all these wonderful schools. So far, we got about 120 species. All teleosts except for two elasmobranch species. Of those two elasmobranch species, they've only been able to get one on photo. Elasmobranchs are depleted as, well, I don't want to say a bad word, but they are depleted as shit. So there's none left. It is amazing. We've been there for 4 times. We've seen 2 elasmobranchs, like 2 individuals. And only one was Nuno able to actually get on camera, which is absolutely amazing. That place used to be, the white shark used to be called the São Tomé shark, because it was so abundant there, people say, but not anymore, clearly. So this is the commercial species that we're also taking pictures of to do the poster that's going to be distributed, again, amongst the local population. We got 45 species of 45 species that are being sold regularly. No elasmobranchs there at all. And these are some species that we've had new records for in São Tomé that had never been sighted in São Tomé before, like the dolphin fish, this chromis, which Nuno and his mates saw down 40 meters deep. This basslet that had been recorded in Cape Verde and also in Senegal, but not in São Tomé as of yet. So that's pretty cool. This redfish was also found in the local market. And, well, we do get a lot of fish when, by doing all this work. So what do you do with all these samples? Well, you have lunch. And then we take the opportunity to actually do some stomach content analysis. And Nuno found another new species for São Tomé inside the stomach of one of the species that they had for lunch. So that's pretty cool. I call that efficiency. So there's some cool behavioral associations that they've been citing and that they've been describing, like all these cleaner wrasses cleaning different species. Of course, there's a lot of these associations that have been described in scientific papers, but these guys have found a bunch of new ones, like this one here. This thalassoma, this cleaner wrasse with a chromis, cleaner wrasse again with this spicata, and again, now a spicata cleaning this the sort of needlefish kind of deal. Again, I'm not too good with the science aspect of this work, so don't go crazy on me at the end. And again, this cleaner wrasse again with the parrotfish, I think. And we also brought some deep dive photography gear. The cable alone, 250-meter long cable alone, that was a hefty penalty that we had to pay in oversized, luggage and overweight and all of these things. But we thought it'd be cool to do some deep stuff. We have this ROV sort of operated camera from the University of the Azores that allowed us to get some really, really cool and interesting footage and still photography as well of the deep stuff down there, which, as far as we know, and from the scientific literature we've researched, we really are the first group to ever look at the deep waters of São Tomé ever, which is kind of cool. Every time we go down there, we also get asked from the local, by the local embassy or schools to go and lecture at schools and to explain to kids what we're doing. We tell them about the problems that their waters are facing as far as overexploitation. We talk about conservation, and we talk about all these different things. And so, in conclusion, really, there's so much work to be done out there. And one of the really cool aspects is that the island is so small, and the population is also so small. It's 200,000 people, that you really feel like you can make a difference. It's not like trying to solve problems, say, in Africa. I mean, that's just too overwhelming for us, you know, Westerners to deal with, I suppose. But in São Tomé, geographically, and the population is so small that after a few meetings with the local fisheries board and the embassy and everything, you actually get a feeling that, well, we could possibly do something here. We could make a difference in these people's lives and try to do this marine protected area and educate the population. It's a very attainable goal, and that's what we've been focusing on, and that's what we wanted to share with you guys. And so again, we're trying to study these things and basically help improve the situation out there. And I'll just take this moment again to thank again the RAW Program Committee and for allowing us to come and present this work to you guys. And thank you so much.